Previously on Nigel, our story starts with a man named Nicholas Gelberry. Nicholas grew up in an orphanage in England his father owned. When Nicholas was of age, he was forced into the British military, along with his friend Rufus, in lieu of the British Recruiting Act of 1779. Rufus and Nicholas quickly began to hate the military that they were forced into, and so when they were shipped off to the colonies, they defected into the US. Rufus would start a farm within the colonies. Meanwhile, Nicholas would join the Continental Army and fight for American independence under the command of General George Washington. After the war, Nicholas and Rufus settled down and watched as the country they once fought against blossomed. However, as the turn of the century grew near, the blossoming nation seemed to be in jeopardy.
25 years, Rufus. It's been 25 years since that day.
Yeah, my body's telling me the same thing.
And yet nothing has changed.
Nick, are you okay?
Did you hear about Washington?
What about him?
He passed away 2 weeks ago.
Oh my goodness.
He died with that fragile man in office. George warned us about men like him.
Are you talking about Adams?
Of course I'm talking about Adams. We fought for the idea that we can be represented, and yet we still have a man that enacts these sedition acts that threatens the common good that I sacrificed everything for.
Well, what are you gonna do about it, Nick? That's how politics go. We just wait for the next guy and hope he's better. There's nothing we can do.
There is.
Now, what is that?
I'm running.
For president?
Gelberry 1800. I like the ring it has to it. I might even run under Nigel Gelberry. You know, in honor of my grandfather.
You have to be kidding me.
What? We have a chance to make things better. To truly represent the people we live amongst and hope that we can have a better future as a young nation.
That's ridiculous. Who among us will even support you?
You will.
Nick, I can't just leave my farm and be your personal guard or whatever.
No, but you can leave the farm and be my campaign manager.
Are you sure about this, Nick? It'll be hard.
Trust me. I know what I'm doing.
Following the resignation of President Washington, there was a lot of debate on who would take his place as the President of the United States. At first it seemed obvious. Washington's Vice President John Adams was the only person one seat away from presidency at any given moment, and thus he was elected the nation's second president. However, after passing policy based on the idea of elitism over public opinion, such as the passage of the Alien Sedation Acts, Adams quickly became disliked among the electorate. Now the question arose who would fix the damage Adams had caused. With the election of 1800, that very question would be answered. However, it's a story with many parts, which Nicholas would find himself within.
Wow, a lot of people are out here today.
That's what we're here for. The thrill of democracy. People using their voice in a larger battle. Let's just hope some people are here for us.
Well, the vast majority seem to be interested in Jefferson and Adams. I don't think many will be interested in a new third party.
Well, with that attitude, they might as well not be. We must have gotten at least a few supporters. Charlie, where is everyone?
What does it look like? No one showed up, boss.
Well, did you hand out any of the pamphlets?
We couldn't get any. You gave me 5 cents. That's not gonna pay for any pamphlets.
Well, what did you use the money on?
The sign.
Well, that explains it.
I find it charming.
Charlie, we'll talk later. Rufus and I need to go to the publisher. We finally got some coverage.
Smell you later.
In the case of elections, coverage from the media can make or break a campaign. News outlets primarily function as scorekeepers, covering polls to keep the electorate up to date on the latest developments regarding each candidate. Publications also have the ability to cover certain candidates while excluding others, effectively gatekeeping who gets exposure. In a close election, a telling newspaper column could mark the difference between victory and defeat, and Rufus and Nigel know this. That is why they arranged to meet with the publisher of the Pennsylvania Gazette to talk business.
So let's get started. Give me the rundown of your campaign.
Well, the Nigel campaign focuses on the people first. Nicholas here was raised by a poor farmer and knows what it means to be an outcast of a system that looks down upon him. With that, he has arisen from the ashes and made himself a new life that we would all be proud of. He served in the Revolutionary War, and many others did not dare to. And with that, he holds the courage of 1,000 men. He serves to protect the people and children he did so long ago. So yeah, that's our campaign.
I see. Now, why is your campaign under a different name? Nigel, I recall?
That was my grandfather's name. I'd do anything to honor him. And right now that means changing a nation.
Well, you've got some wise words, sir. I'd personally vote for you. Let's see what we can do for you.
That's it?
I'm sorry, but with your funds here, compared to the bigger candidates, it's all we could do for you.
Looks like we got better value out of our sign.
Come on, let's just take it. It's better than nothing. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
Well, it looks like no one has any interest in our campaign.
Hey, when I asked you to join me on this journey, I knew it would be hard. This is just the thick of it.
Look around, Nick. We're the dirt cheap candidates that can't even buy ourselves a proper sign. How do we get through this?
Look around once more. What do you see that they have that we don't?
Money.
Well, yes, but more specifically, people. We need to develop a connection to those that are willing to look at the world in our eyes. We need to get down to their level and see what they want. That's how we come out on top.
Since third parties are notorious for their lack of funding, they need to rely on the connection they hold with their supporters. The best way to accomplish this is to make themselves much more welcoming and friendly than a major candidate could ever do. Much like modern special interest groups, third parties use different ways to connect with the electorate, such as talking face-to-face, holding local rallies, and even contacting government officials who would likely support the cause. All of which are tactics that the desperate Nigel 1800 campaign would learn to use.
Alright, so what do we need to do to garner support?
Well, we start by going door to door.
So we just walk up to people and see what they want?
Yes, and most importantly, offer them a solution on our behalf.
What do you want?
What could the government to do to make your life easier, sir?
They could leave me alone.
Vote Nigel 1800 and I'll be sure no one bothers you again, sir.
Sounds like a deal.
Alright, so what's next?
We congregate. We start to bring the people we have met along the way and speak to them. Again, this connection with our supporters will lead to our success.
This sounds like a lot of work, Nick.
I know, but it's what needs to be done.
Okay, I trust you. What do we do once we get this support?
We hit the debate stage.
Welcome, all bystanders, to the first debate of the election of 1800. Today we've got many candidates ranging from all sorts of backgrounds. First off, we've got the man who's back for round 2, an important man who sadly could not make it today, but through a representative will fight for his spot in the strong national government their administration is creating. John Adams! Next up, we've got a man who isn't too far off the chipping block of the current presidency. A man that knows what he wants and will fight for it. And someone who will always talk less and smile more. Aaron Burr! Finally, we've got a surprise in the running. Originally vice president under the Adams administration, however silently grew impatient with his policies. Now, just like Adams, he could not make it today due to pressing matters, but through a representative will fight for what needs to be done. It's Thomas Jefferson! Oh, I'm sorry, it looks like we have another candidate. A brand new politician with roots spanning into rich agriculture and the Revolutionary War. This man will fight to protect you just like he did decades ago. Nigel Gelberry! All right, let's get started. First question up for the debate. What makes you fit to become president?
Well, Adams already is one.
Well, yeah, but not a good one. Jefferson would like to change that.
Are you saying that the Jefferson administration would be any better? As the vice president, shouldn't you take some responsibility for the actions you state are horrific?
Yeah, what he said.
Who even are you, Nigel? Shouldn't you be working on a farm right about now?
Shouldn't you be helping run a nation right now?
Now, Burr and Gelberry, what makes you fit for the presidency?
Well, unlike Adams and Jefferson, I was here when we won independence. I even fought in the war that brought it. So if anything, I'm the most qualified to be president.
Well, I also fought in the Revolution, so that makes me just as qualified.
So, it looks like we have a tie between Burr and Gelberry for this first debate. Burr, what would you do to protect the people you served to protect years ago?
I will take the strong government that the Adams administration abused and hand that power to the states. I will fight for each and every one of you and your sovereignty within this blossoming republic.
You make a strong case. Gelberry, how would you respond to the question?
I think Burr is right. As a fellow Revolutionary War veteran, I know how important it is to secure the rights of the people. However, I don't think that handing power to the next level of government will do much for us anyway. The states have proved controversial under the Articles of Confederation. We need to establish this power to the people. With popular elections and the equality of all men, we can truly live in a society where we can make our own decisions, not the government.
Well, it looks like we have a crowd favorite for the first debate. We'll see how all of these candidates do in the months to come.
Wow, that Gelberry really one-upped me. Perhaps I should take a page from his book.
For many people, third parties hold a strong appeal. Voting third party is often the best viable option for spoilers, or rather voters who wish to support a candidate outside of the major political parties. Third parties also have benefits within other campaigns as well. For example, major parties use them to determine how to appeal to specific concerns within the electorate. However, the favor that third parties lend to major parties is most often not returned, a trap we begin to see the Nigel party fall into.
Mr. Gilberry, could you spare a few words?
Yes, of course.
How does it feel to have had so much success these past months, despite being so new to the political scene?
Well, it's been a wild ride for sure. I'm sure my manager could attest to that.
It sure is.
But yeah, it's been so great to have people that understand the importance of working together that support us.
Wise words. Mr. Gilbert, thank you again. I can't wait to see you up on that stage. I'm sure you'll surprise us all.
I still think it's unreal how much support we've been getting.
I'm just glad we can finally make our name heard.
Yeah, that is quite nice.
Hey, are you okay?
Are you still sure about this? We've still got a long way to go. What do we even do next?
Rufus, we've got this. All we have to do is be ourselves. That's all the people want. We have to show them that we are just like them and that we are willing to protect one another. That's how we win.
Okay, that sounds good.
Rufus, I need you to trust me. I need you to have my back.
I do.
All right. I knew you would. Let's get to the stage. It looks like we're going to start soon.
Welcome back, all bystanders. It looks like the candidates are arriving on the scene, meaning the next debate will start momentarily.
How do I look?
Perfect.
All right. I'm going to head up there.
Good luck, Nick.
Thanks, Rufus.
Well. Looks like we've got the competition right here. Rufus, isn't it?
Mr. Jefferson, how do you do, sir?
I'm fine. So, what's it like being Gelberry's manager?
You know, it's been wild. I can't believe 2 redcoats from England would ever make it this far in American politics.
England, you say? I never knew you guys were from England, let alone that you were redcoats.
Oh yeah, we defected here just a few weeks before the Battle of Yorktown.
Now that is very interesting.
Yeah, I assume so.
The debate will begin shortly.
Well, it looks like I need to head off. Thank you for talking with me, Rufus. Seriously, thank you.
My pleasure. Hopefully you aren't too hurt after being up there with the Nigel Gelberry.
I'm sure I'll do fine.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the presidential debate of 1800. It looks like all of our candidates have made it up onto the stage, and thus we will commence our ceremony. Unlike our first debate, all candidates are actually here today and are willing to fight for their spot in the upcoming presidential election. First off, we've got a crowd favorite, Nigel Gelberry. Secondly, we've got a rising name in the running, Aaron Burr. Next up, we've got the current sitting president, John Adams. And finally, the man you've all been waiting for, the definitely unproblematic man, Thomas Jefferson. All right, today's main question up for debate is, as the president, how do you plan to fulfill the promises you make to the people? President Adams, you have the floor.
Well, as you saw in my first term, I fulfilled all of my promises and even more, and I will be willing to do it all again.
No you did not. And when you say more, do you mean the Alien and Sedition Act? I'm not sure we encourage that. If I was president, I would make sure that men like Adams wouldn't come near the policy making that we, the people, have the right to decide rather than the government.
Burr, you say that, but how can you make sure? I've known Adams for a long time. I know how to spot men like him. If anyone can promise to prevent men like Adams from taking office, I can.
All right, settle down. That sounds enticing, Mr. Jefferson. Mr. Gelberry, how would you respond?
Well, once again, as a veteran, I know what it means to make a plan and stick to it. I always followed through in every battle I fought in, and I will bring the same mentality with the presidency. I plan to protect each and every one of your rights, and I'll make sure of it.
Now, Mr. Gelberry, you seem to always bring up this idea that you were in the Continental Army. However, how could you hold so much pride for a war where you fought on both sides? Oh? You guys didn't know? Mr. Gelberry was a bloody redcoat before taking credit for the war that gained our independence. Now, even though I wasn't here during the war, I sure didn't fight against you.
That's blasphemy.
The truth seems to hurt only one man.
What led you to that conclusion?
I have some insider information.
Who told you?
Your manager, Rufus, of course.
Rufus, what did you do?
Well, it looks like you lost this one. What do you think of Mr. Gelberry now?
Many third parties suffer the same fate as that of Nigel 1800. Even as early as the election of 1800, the state of US politics was quickly formed into a system that only supported two major parties. Just like modern politics, the radical nature of Nicholas's policies, mixed with the leak of his British origins, similar to the notion of an October surprise or rather modern-day cancel culture, gave room for the two major parties to pave over the third party without hesitation. This pattern would of course develop within US presidential elections, with the nation only seeing one third-party president in the mid-19th century. Today, the Democratic and Republican parties monopolize on national politics, with any popular third-party ideals being adopted by the major parties in efforts to broaden their appeal, an environment in which Nicholas would barely survive. Now that Nicholas has been stripped of his presidential intent, he must blindly seek out redemption that in his mind would bring some sense to his misfortune.
Look, I'm sorry.
What do you mean you're sorry? Why did you horse me like that?
Jefferson just asked me about the campaign right before the debate. He told me to be myself, so I did.
Not when it loses our chances at winning. I already have Burr adopting my ideals, and now I have Jefferson who knows my backstory.
Well, I didn't know Jefferson would use that against us.
How do I know you weren't sabotaging this whole thing from the start? You seem to be very uninterested whenever I talked about running.
All this time, you've been asking me to trust you. Why can't you just trust me?
I challenge you to a duel.
What?
If I can trust you, then let's duel.
You've got to be kidding me.
What? Are you scared to face your consequences?
Will this actually give you any closure?
Yes. Very much so.
You aren't sounding like yourself, Nick.
Don't call me Nick.
Nicholas.
Fight me.
Fine. I'll duel you.
Around the turn of the 18th century, dueling was a common way to settle disputes among aristocrats and high-ranking officials. While outlawed in a majority of places, duelists often found their way around restrictions through loopholes such as crossing state lines. Aaron Burr, a candidate in the election of 1800, would go on to murder Alexander Hamilton in the most notable political duels. Only time will tell if Nicholas or Rufus will suffer a similar fate.
Charlie, bring us our guns.
Yes, sir. Alright. Being both of your seconds, I hope you know the rules. I'll have you stand back to back, and then I'll count 10 paces. Once I reach 10, you must turn and fire at your opponent. The doctor beside me will serve in case of any emergency. Is there any objection before we commence?
No.
Nicholas, are you sure you want to do this?
You're the one that decided this for yourself.
You really won't give up.
Never.
Are there any other objections? Alright then. Step up and face away from each other. Whoever witnesses this, witnesses history. 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey. Are you awake?
Nicholas, is that you?
Yeah, it's me. How are you feeling?
I'm sore.
I overheard the doctor saying you might not be able to walk ever again.
Nick,
Yeah?
what are you doing here? You shouldn't be here.
That's why I've got this disguise. I don't think many people would like to see my face after everything that's happened.
Nick, why are you really here?
I'm so sorry, Rufus. I never meant for it to get this far. I made a mistake.
Yeah, you did.
Are you mad?
Of course I'm not mad at you. You're a good shot. And I should have never agreed to the duel. Were you mad at me?
No, I'm not mad. I guess I always knew the Nigel presidency wouldn't work out. How could a third party like me go up against the big fellas? I'm just glad it's all over with. I don't even care what happens next.
Do you have any clue what comes next?
Well, it looks like they'll just ignore me from here on out. And with this dueling incident, along with my family history, they'll definitely bar me from ever running again. And I guess with a lack of any political funding or any physical pamphlets to provide proof of our campaign, I'll just be erased from the history books.
That sounds like a horrible way to go out.
Hey, you sound like I'm dying. I still got life in me. This is only a roadblock in a long journey. I just gotta lay low for a while. Let the world move on without me.
Due to their relative insignificance compared to the major political parties, third parties are often forgotten. History is written by the winners, and since the American political system throttles any chance of third-party victory, they hardly ever pen the books. The Nigel 1800 campaign was forsaken from the very beginning. Nicholas was forgotten, but his ideals lived on through the politicians he influenced.
All right, the results are in. Winning with 73 electoral votes against 65. Thomas Jefferson beats out Aaron Burr as our third United States President.
The election of 1800 is often labeled as the Revolution of 1800. This prominent election was the first time that the nation experienced a change in party leadership through a peaceful transition of power. And even though third parties were not a part of that change, the election has proven that people with differing ideals can be successful within politics. Shifting from the ideals of federalism to the strengths of a republic with the Jefferson presidency founded the hope that with political realignment, the nation can always find its way again. As of February 17, 1801, the nation was on a better track towards a perfect democracy, a track that Nicholas would try to follow after his political defeat. However, with a lifetime still left to live, Nicholas decides to take time to reflect, rather than continue within a political machine.
I just made a pot of tea. Would you guys like some?
Yes, yes, bring it here. So, what happened?
Jefferson won.
Well, that was expected.
You know, I feel bad for Burr. I liked his policies. He and I weren't all that different. I'm just glad some of my ideas could live on through someone.
I thought you were taking a break from politics.
I am.
How do you feel?
You know, I'm just glad Adams is no longer in office. Let's just hope Jefferson can fix what Adams left behind.
Yeah, we can only hope.
Alright. It's getting dark out.
Yeah, we should head inside.
You know, the sky's really nice.
It sure is.